A brilliant inventor imagines a future powered by electricity. His mind, a beacon in the encroaching darkness of the 19th century, envisions a world untethered, a civilization humming with energy drawn from the very air. He sees cities not lit by the flickering gas lamp, but blazing with the steady, clean glow of alternating current. He dreams of a network that could transmit power wirelessly across continents and oceans, connecting humanity in a web of light and information. This was the world Nikola Tesla conceived, a world far beyond the grasp of his contemporaries. Though he would face immense hardship, be dismissed as a dreamer, and see his trust shattered by those he once admired, the seeds of his genius were planted deep. The fruits of his labor, often uncredited, would grow to form the very bedrock of our technological age. His ideas, born in solitude and often met with derision, now pulse through the veins of our planet, quietly shaping the modern world. In the small village of Smiljan, nestled within the mountainous terrain of the Austrian Empire, a legend was born amidst a lightning storm in 1856. From his earliest days, Nikola Tesla was a study in contrasts. He was a child possessed of a brilliant, almost photographic memory, and an imagination so vivid it bordered on hallucination. He saw visions of light and fire, entire inventions materializing in his mind with crystalline clarity, fully formed down to the last screw and wire before he ever touched a tool. This gift, however, was also a burden. He was plagued by sensitivities, finding certain textures and patterns unbearable, and was driven by compulsions that mystified those around him. His education at the Austrian Polytechnic in Graz was a testament to his prodigious intellect. He mastered integral calculus with such ease that his professors initially suspected him of cheating. He devoured knowledge, working from the early morning until late at night, driven by an insatiable curiosity about the mysteries of electricity, the invisible force he believed held the key to humanity's future. It was during these formative years that the concept of alternating current, a radical departure from the direct current standard of the day, began to coalesce in his mind. The idea was revolutionary, elegant, and, according to his professors, utterly impossible. This dismissal was the first of many he would face, a recurring theme in a life defined by being profoundly ahead of his time. His journey led him to America in 1884, with little more than a few cents in his pocket and a letter of recommendation to the man he considered a hero, Thomas Edison. The Wizard of Menlo Park was the titan of the age, his direct current DC system slowly beginning to illuminate the wealthy corners of New York City. Initially, Edison was impressed by the young Serb's ingenuity and tireless work ethic, employing him to improve the efficiency of his DC dynamos. He even jokingly offered Tesla a handsome reward of $50,000 if he could solve the persistent problems plaguing his generators. Tesla, taking the offer seriously, poured his energy into the task and, within months, presented a series of remarkable improvements that far exceeded expectations. When he asked for the promised reward, however, Edison simply laughed, dismissing the offer as a joke. "Tesla," he quipped, "you don't understand our American humor." This moment was a bitter awakening. It was not merely about the money. It was a profound betrayal of trust, and a stark lesson in the ruthless nature of the world he had entered. The ideological chasm between the two men was now clear. Edison was the pragmatist, the businessman focused on immediate, marketable solutions. Tesla was the visionary, the poet of physics, whose ambitions soared far beyond mere commercial success. He saw that DC power was inherently limited, inefficient over long distances, and he knew his alternating current AC system was the true path forward. He resigned from Edison's company, the first major rift in a conflict that would come to be known as the War of the Currents. Forced to dig ditches to survive, Tesla's fortunes seemed to have hit rock bottom. Yet, his belief in his vision never wavered. His break came when he secured financing to establish the Tesla Electric Light and Manufacturing Company. There, he finally had the resources to perfect the components of his AC system: the generators, transformers, and, most critically, the polyphase induction motor. This motor, a masterpiece of elegant engineering, with no brushes or commutators to wear out, was the missing piece of the puzzle, the engine that would drive the next industrial revolution. His innovations caught the eye of George Westinghouse, an industrialist and inventor who, Unlike Edison immediately grasped the immense potential of alternating current, Westinghouse saw that AC could transmit power over hundreds of miles with minimal loss, a feat impossible for Edison's DC. He licensed Tesla's patents, forming a powerful alliance that directly challenged Edison's monopoly. The War of the Currents had officially begun. Edison, fearing the loss of his DC empire, launched a vicious and public smear campaign. He staged grotesque demonstrations, electrocuting dogs, cats, and even a circus elephant with a sea power to prove its dangers, attempting to forever associate Westinghouse and Tesla's system with death and horror in the public mind. Yet, despite this campaign, the undeniable superiority of AC could not be suppressed. The turning point came with the 1893 World's Columbian Exposition in Chicago, where Westinghouse, using Tesla's system, bathed the White City in an unprecedented ocean of light, dazzling millions of visitors and proving the safety and scalability of AC power on a global stage. The ultimate victory came when Westinghouse and Tesla were awarded the contract to harness the immense power of Niagara Falls, a dream Tesla had harbored since childhood. The successful project silenced the critics and cemented AC as the undisputed global standard for power generation and distribution, a standard that remains in place to this day. With the War of the Currents won, Tesla's imagination soared to even greater heights. He established laboratories, first in New York and later in Colorado Springs, that became legendary theaters of scientific marvel. Here, he was no longer just an inventor. He was a magician of the modern age. He created artificial lightning, with bolts of electricity stretching over 100 feet, their thunderous claps echoing for miles. He developed the Tesla coil, a resonant transformer circuit that could produce high-voltage, low-current, high-frequency, alternating current electricity, which became a foundational component in radio technology. He experimented with cryogenic engineering, X-rays, and remote control, demonstrating a radio-controlled boat to a stunned crowd at Madison Square Garden in 1898, a feat so far ahead of its time that many observers dismissed it as telepathy or magic. But his grandest and most ambitious project was the pursuit of a worldwide wireless system. In the high-altitude, electrically charged air of Colorado Springs, he built a massive experimental station. There, he discovered terrestrial stationary waves, proving that the Earth itself could be used as a conductor, vibrating with electrical energy. Like a bell, his goal was to build a global network of towers that could transmit not just information, but electrical power to any point on the globe, wirelessly. This project, which he called the Wardenclyffe Tower, was to be his crowning achievement. Financed by the powerful banker J.P. Morgan, construction began on Long Island. It was to be a beacon for a new age of free, abundant energy for all. However, the world of finance and industry was not ready for such a radical vision. J.P. Morgan, his primary backer, was a shrewd businessman who had invested heavily in the copper wires and infrastructure that Tesla's wireless system threatened to make obsolete. When Guglielmo Marconi, using many of Tesla's own patented technologies, successfully sent a simple Morse code signal across the Atlantic, Morgan saw a more immediate and controllable path to profit in radio communication. The question that doomed Tesla's grand dream was simple and brutal. Where do we put the meter? The idea of free, unmetered energy was anathema to the capitalist model. Morgan and his peers were building. Funding was abruptly cut. The magnificent Wardenclyffe Tower, Tesla's testament to a connected future, was left an unfinished skeleton, a monument to a dream betrayed by the very forces of commerce he had sought to empower. Deeply in debt and publicly humiliated, Tesla suffered a severe nervous breakdown. The press, which had once hailed him as a genius, now painted him as a mad scientist. The betrayal was complete, not just financially, but philosophically. He had offered humanity the stars, and they had chosen to stay in the well-lit, metered confines of their terrestrial world. The tower was eventually sold for scrap to pay his debts, its demolition a heartbreaking symbol of his fall from grace. The final decades of Nikola Tesla's life were a slow descent into obscurity and poverty. He lived a solitary existence in a series of New York hotels, his brilliance flickering but never fully He continued to theorize and invent, filling notebooks with ideas for vertical takeoff aircraft, particle beam weapons, and geothermal energy. He became an eccentric figure, known for his obsession with the number 3 and his peculiar habit of feeding the pigeons of New York, for whom he felt a deep and abiding affection. He would die alone in his hotel room in 1943, his vast contributions largely forgotten by the public. For decades, his name was relegated to the footnotes of history, overshadowed by more commercially successful figures like Edison and Marconi. Yet, the world he had envisioned continued to take shape, built upon the silent foundations he had laid. Every time we plug an appliance into a wall, we are using his AC system. Every time we listen to the radio, use a remote control, or connect to a Wi-Fi network, we are touching upon the legacy of his pioneering work in wireless communication. The fluorescent lights that illuminate our offices, the spark plugs in our cars, the very principles of robotics all bear the indelible mark of his genius. Though he was misunderstood in his time, a prophet without honor in his own era, his ideas proved too powerful to remain buried. They have quietly, inexorably grown to define the fabric of our existence, a testament to a mind that saw the future not as it was, but as it could be. His name is no longer a footnote. It is once again spoken with reverence, a symbol of visionary intellect, steadfast perseverance, and the timeless power of an idea. A brilliant inventor imagines a future powered by electricity. Though misunderstood and betrayed, his ideas quietly shape the modern world.